Andre asked, why is there so much movement in the summertime in player rankings when no one's doing anything? This sounds like a really, really good, well, it doesn't sound like it. It is a good question by Andre. It sounds like it's a gotcha question for people who don't really follow recruiting. They just follow college football. And there are a lot of you out there who do that, so I'm not going into the weeds of recruiting, but I'm going to explain this to you. So what Andre is saying is, how could players' star rankings be changing when there are no high school football games happening? Don't football players get judged on football games? And the answer is, in part, yes, they do. Football games, game tape, in other words, is, if you look at the pie chart, it is a large majority of what makes up that player's evaluation, which leads to a star ranking. But it's not all. Because unlike a college Saturday, and certainly unlike an NFL Sunday, you get a large disparity in competition level sometimes. And if you've ever been to a high school football game where an elite athlete, like a 4 or 5 star athlete's on the field, you know what I mean. If you got a 5-star edge rusher, if you watched Will Anderson in high school, it was abuse for 4 quarters every Saturday night, even in like high 4, 5, and 6A football or wherever he played in Georgia. So here's how it works. Think about this logically. What would you value more? Would you value watching a kid who overmatches his opponents every week on film solely? Or would you value that and then also getting eyeballs on him when he gets out into the camp circuit? Now you see where I'm going with this a little bit. It's the same reason that player rankings move in December after their senior year. Because I get that question a lot too. Andre might as well have asked, why are player rankings changing in the summertime? And why do they change after high school football seasons are over? And the answers are both the same. Either in December, you've got like delayed film you're just now getting, but that's the minority reason. The majority reason is because guys get out in the camp circuit, or in December, they get to the Army or Under Armour All-American games, and you get eyeballs on them, and you get to see them go good on good. You get to see a 4-star defensive end against a 5-star offensive tackle instead of the guys that he's been going against that weigh 240 pounds and bear no semblance of what he's going to see on the college level. This didn't used to be the case. But now there are millions, seemingly, of camps out there, and there are so many different exposure points, therefore, for our staff, coast to coast, to get out on the road, just like college coaches do, and they get to see guys in spring football settings or in camp settings that are organized by different apparel companies or what have you. So that's my answer, Andre. It changes because you get them in a controlled environment, you get to control the reps, you get to verify a lot of information. So far, what you have is you have maybe a height and weight that the school's given you, and you get to go and see a guy in person. And sometimes it's a legit 6'4", and sometimes it's a 6'4" that's really a 6'2" and a quarter. You know what I mean by that, because we've seen that happen in the NFL draft. You thought a guy was one thing his whole career, and then the NFL draft shows you he's another thing. You also want to see that there are any injury concerns, if they have them, that are cleaned up. There are all sorts of different technique questions that you may want to verify one way or the other. So it helps greatly, Andre, to get your own personal eyes, if you're the evaluator, to get your own personal eyes on guys. That's also why I think quarterback evaluation has become a much more exact science. Not perfect, but it's much more exact, because even within the world I'm talking about, quarterbacks go above and beyond anyone else. You take even an elite linebacker, compared to an elite quarterback, that elite quarterback, you get so many more reps and eyeballs on even than the elite people at any other position. We're going to Elite 11 next month out in California. You'll have the best quarterbacks in the country there, and you'll be able to watch them do every drill back to back. Where else would you get that? Where else would you be able to watch, like last year, where else would I be able to watch Malachi Nelson do something and then Jackson Arnold step in right behind him and do the exact same thing? Is it a full game rep? No, it's not. But is it as close in simulation to a game rep as you can get? Yes. And can you measure a lot of the characteristics, both tangible and intangible, on that player in that setting? Yes, you can. Also, and let's not overlook this, in these camp settings, you get to talk to the players. You get to watch them interact. You start to feel out their character a little bit. They could put on a show, yes. They could put on a mask, yes, figuratively, but you do at least start to see them as opposed to just watching them on a YouTube clip with like music played in the background. So, Andre, that is my answer. That's why you see a lot of player rankings move. And when you see those player rankings move, it's not sleight of hand. It's not anyone playing tricks on you. It's the recruiting industry operating exactly how it should operate. So that gets us into things this morning. I've always found it fascinating that I know our audience very well. And I know there are some of you who are die-hard recruiting fans. Some of you kind of follow it. Some of you just watch on signing day. And then some of you don't care about it at all. But even the ones who don't care about recruiting, it's kind of like people who don't bet. You at least tend to have a passing interest in how it works. So that's how we talk about recruiting a lot of times on the show.